morning, kids. What time is it?
Hey gang, Keith here from GeekTime TV. It has been a minute. I was gone for about 60 days. There's a lot of reasons why. One of it was kind of just to do a little digital detox, just get away from the screen and go touch some grass. And I really suggest that everyone do that. Just detach for a week, 2 weeks. Just get away from the screens and go live life and socialize and all that kind of stuff. It really is healthy for your state of mind to get away from all this hate and vitriol that's all over the internet. It's just a horrible place to be. That said, as you can see, I'm wearing my Superman shirt here. And Superman has always, to me, stood for truth, justice, and the American way. And I'd like to talk about somebody else who stands for truth, justice, and the American way, and that would be Gina Carano. So about a week ago, the South Park special, South Park Joining the Panderverse, dropped on Paramount Plus. It created quite a stir. It took shots at both sides of the culture war. It took shots at artificial intelligence, and it took shots at these big, fancy college degrees that get you nothing, because these jobs are now being taken over by artificial intelligence, and nobody in South Park knows how to do anything like handy anymore, because they rely on all this tech, right? Very funny if you haven't seen it. Definitely worth a watch. I think it's Trey Parker and Matt Stone's one of their best to this date. I mean, they've done a lot of great work over the 25 years that they've been doing this, but this ranks right at the top. This is one of their best. So anyway, that aired, and Gina decided, based on one of the clips in the show that I will not play for fear of copyright strike, kind of starts revealing what happened to her in detail. She says, "This is the part where KK demands any YouTubers get censored off of YouTube for sharing and laughing at this hilarious episode. She'll have YouTube disable the thumbs down option because of the ratio she'll receive, and then she'll have her publicist, Ghouls, make sure Variety and Hollywood Reporter run hit pieces about the South Park creators and their families, smearing their names through every useful idiot she has under her thumb who would sell their soul to work for Lucasfilm. She'll activate her online mob to repeat that the South Park creators are racist, bigot, transphobes, and demand South Park creators publicly apologize by only using words she approves of. And finally, she'll demand they subject themselves to a re-education course of 45 people in the LGBTQ community Zoom call to sit there and listen of how badly they got their feelings hurt all over a little boop of a South Park episode. Maybe, just maybe, the jig is up." So, wow, that happened. So she immediately got feedback from one of these useful idiots, as she puts it, a guy who basically disagrees with everything if you mock Star Wars. His post got taken down, or he deleted his post. You can see it's right here, unable to view this post, blah, blah, blah. He basically started, pushing back at Gina, calling her crazy and that her career is destroyed because she's a bad person and all this that kind of stuff. So she responds with, "Do you always call a woman crazy just because she has more firsthand experience than you and says something you don't like or understand? Bit misogynistic, don't you think? Tisk tisk. Curious if your overlords pay you, or do you all just go ahead and shove your whole head straight up your ass for free? Up their ass for free. I'm guessing for free. Might want to come out for some fresh air." Woof. For some added context, not just for you, but for the people reading, one of the things your overlords asked me to do was unfollow certain accounts because they said, quote, bad things about Kathleen Kennedy. That was a huge red flag for me. If I were the head of one of the most powerful entertainment companies in the world, I would know that haters come with the territory, and that maybe haters are expressing their thoughts because they actually care, and caring is a good thing, because as long as they care, well, hey, we still have something to work with. Now, real quick, I just want to say, I'm not one of the most powerful entertainment companies in the world or an executive of any of these kind of companies. And the haters come for you, man. The haters come for you. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the internet is bred for trolls. It's a very toxic place. You got to be able to withstand it. Tune out the noise, and just keep going. Maybe we can win their hearts back, and eventually they will do some good things to add to the conversation, which they do and did. And at the very least, they are still buying the product. Look at Mando Season 1. Boom, the healing had begun, and that is true. Including her character, Cara Dune, which was a great revelation. We all loved Cara Dune. If you are a proper good leader, you learn how to embrace and communicate, not dictate and silence, and demand that your actors and directors unfollow and shame more than half of your fan base and the people who have stuck with the franchise for decades, i.e. paying customer. We've discussed this a lot. Trashing the customer, never a good idea. Side note, don't say the Force is female and then only allow men to express their political views online. In fact, just drop the ridiculous phrase completely. And what she's referring to there is Pedro Pascal was able to call half of the country Yahtzees on then Twitter. But Gina made a post comparing how the Yahtzees rose to power with the divisive nature of our culture, and immediately got run out of town for it. Let's continue. She says, one of the problems your overlords easy for me to say, are having now is that they've made a lot of people completely stop caring about the most beloved franchises in history, all by bullying, pushing aggressive agendas, and trying to silence the people criticizing them. Very true. I don't care at all about Star Wars. I have not watched any of the shows past, I think it was Obi-Wan the last one I watched. Which came, whichever one was first, Boba Fett or Obi-Wan, I don't even remember. They were both awful. I was done. I don't care. I'm also done with Marvel. I could care less about any of the Phase 4 or 5 films. I haven't watched any of these stupid shows. I just don't care anymore. How are they able to tell stories they don't understand when the ones they identify with are the Empire? They are literally trying to squash the little guys, the rebellion. No wonder the storytelling is struggling. Yeah, can't argue that. They fired and dehumanized people like me who did nothing, absolutely nothing wrong, all to virtue signal to people like you, the yes men. But yes men, unfortunately for you and them, do not drive culture. Maybe they were banking on kids picking up the slack, but one of the best things about this franchise is passing it from generation to generation to share. The competition is too high to throw out something as valuable as that. Why would one generation pass it on when you've disrespected and thrown them away? Very true. And I kind of feel what she's saying. I want to share Star Wars with my daughter, but I'm only going to show her the George Lucas stuff. Most notably the original 3, the original trilogy. I don't care about any of this other stuff. And I'm not going to share it with her, because whether she finds it on her own or not is up to her, but I am not going to include it as part of the whole canon of Star Wars. Anyway, moving on. Your overlords tried to hide behind the two opposing fan bases fighting each other instead of taking responsibility. So they encouraged the hate, all while virtue signaling that they're standing up for minorities, but instead using them as a shield and weapon. Funny enough, just how our government works. I was thinking the same thing. They think people will forget, and yes, maybe they will, but for this moment they have heard the people's voice and it shook them. They're choosing to stick with their weak leadership who couldn't handle YouTubers saying mean things online, when all it would have taken is for a true leader to step in, take the reins, take some responsibility, stop discriminating, apologize about the things that have been done wrong, step completely out of politics, be truly inclusive, and they'd be back in business. Until then, they're stuck with you, the yes men, and their plummeting stock.
Oh, easy. Aren't you a little strong for a lady?
Yes men who are broke and missing out the most important part of diversity, which is diversity of thought. I'm not saying I'm right on all fronts, but I'm open-hearted and refuse to discriminate based off of powerful people telling me how to think and act. And if there was something I needed to apologize for, I would have in a heartbeat, but I didn't say or do anything wrong. People come up to me daily to shake my hand and thank me for taking a stand, even people who think differently. And there's one thing I think I can say without knowing Gina or having met Gina in person to date is that she seems like a genuinely really nice person, just a kind soul. And I feel really bad. She's clearly letting this all out now. She's kept this bottled up for years, and she finally feels that it's time to come clean and just vent her frustration. And then wrapping up, she says, one thing is true. Good leadership makes for a better world, leading to healthier and happier people and better opportunity. Look around. We are watching the devastating effects of what bad leadership can do worldwide. Ain't that the truth? So, hot on the heels of that, this article drops on November 1st from Bounding into Comics. HBO and Max executives created an army of troll accounts to target critics of their movies and television shows, weaponized identity politics. So, if HBO and Max are doing it, you know what's up. You know everyone's doing it. And I would venture to guess that Disney probably was one of the charter members of this club. So Gina reacts to this too. So we got another long post here. I'll try to get through it quickly because I know this video is starting to run long, but I feel it's kind of important to cover the whole gamut. Gina says, do you think this behavior of creating bots was exclusive to HBO Max, or maybe other major studios do this as well? Of course. In 2016, Bob Iger said Disney was basically inches away from buying Twitter, but just pulled out of the deal at the last minute, saying they did a little more research and said this about Twitter users. Quote, we at that point estimated with some of Twitter's help that a substantial portion, not a majority, were not real. And Elon Musk, we know when he ended up buying Twitter, saw just how many of the bots. In fact, he changed his price, his original bid to buy, because once he found out how many accounts were fake, he readjusted his value. What do you think that substantial portion of fake users grew from 2016 before Elon Musk took over X Twitter in 2022? How big did the bot armies get? Who were the bot armies created, and to do what? Why buy Twitter and deal with that headache when you can create armies of bots and control the narrative for much, much less money and energy? It does your promoting for you without making it look like you are promoting yourself. Look, it's popular on these accounts, strangely liked by a bunch of accounts with no names. It must be good. And you see that all the time. You'll see these accounts and they'll have like a anime avatar or some kind of little cartoon character instead of a human being. And if you look too, you'll see that they'll be following, quite a few people, but they'll have no followers themselves. 2, 4, 0. A lot of the people who swing back at me a lot are under a dozen followers usually. So that tells you it's either a bot or a sock puppet or someone with multiple accounts. But what if it was used for something much more sinister? These damn critical YouTubers have too many followers. They are gaining traction. Let's censor them. On top of sending in the fake bot army, it's just enough to get the yes men and useful idiots on board and trolling. And that's the scariest part to me, is that what I see with social media in particular is the lack of critical thinking skills people have these days. Colleges used to encourage critical thinking skills and to look at things from different perspectives, but not anymore. Now it's you have to get on with the official narrative or else. That leads to firing a person who thinks differently because they can't control their voice. Need a reason to fire her? Get this hashtag trending. And then she says something anti-Semitic. She said something anti-Semitic when she isn't at all. Twist her words, and hey, as long as it's in the headlines, no one will ask any questions. It must be true. Dickie Dunn wrote this. It must be true. Name the movie. I actually told them in an email over the phone about these bot armies and how they start the negative narrative, and then the young kids would join in, not realizing they're being manipulated. Oh boy, are they being manipulated. TikTok looking at you. And then websites and small news jump on board to be cool with the kids, and before you know it, you're trending and the Hollywood media devours it. I told them I believe this is what was happening to me. It absolutely was what was happening to Gina. A manipulated mob being used every day to spread propaganda to protect the most corrupt. They didn't need to buy Twitter. They just needed to buy the narrative. This is really good. I mean, she is just dropping bombs here. Why does everyone just laugh off the fact that when the suits do something wrong, it's, oh, how silly of those silly little harmless suits, instead of the suits being forced to grovel and correct the wrong they do, just like they demand so many others to. It's not like they don't know how to apologize. They wrote the playbook on fake apologies. They've literally destroyed careers and livelihoods and get sympathy pieces written on them, while those whose lives got destroyed for having an opinion that was before its time or made a mistake and hurt feelings get destroyed. This action of bot armies is actually a much bigger offense than people are realizing. How many lives were ruined because of Twitter bots canceling them? In defamation lawsuits, you need to have evidence of intent to do harm. Defamation lawsuits are very tricky, especially when you're going up against someone with endless amounts of cash. I would say sending in bot armies to go after people they don't agree with more than qualifies as intent to do harm, and I believe a jury would agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. Could get very interesting if ex or current employees come forward with more evidence. Aren't you all sick of abuse of power? You could sell your soul and still not end up in the 1% this benefits. And who wants to be in the 1% anyway when it means betraying humanity and selling your soul? You know, it's funny. I remember when you're young, you know, you're always sitting around with your friends and you're like, oh, I want to be rich someday. And I even at a young age, I'd say, I don't want to be that rich. I want to be really comfortable, but I don't want to be rich, because when you're rich, you end up in this social class of assholes. And I didn't want to be in the social class of assholes. That's what she's talking about, the 1%. You'll sell your soul to be in the club.
I'm not a joiner, Blue.
Don't pass this social credit score BS on to the next generation. That is so important. So important. And again, when I talked at the top of the video about taking the digital break, go touch the grass, go breathe the air, look at the sky, look at the stars at night, a lot of that is to get away from this social credit bullcrap online, where you're just completely dehumanized and put into these categories just because you make a statement, because you have a hot take on something, and then you get attacked. I got attacked the other day for saying, you know, I don't like people who just put the bowl of candy out and leave it there, because I saw a video where one family emptied the whole bowl. I think that's lazy. Either hand out the candy or don't. If you can't, fine. I get it. I can't. I take my daughter out. I don't hand out the candy. Something's got to give. But I think leaving the bowl out, because that's what happens. Because, you know, disrespectful people will come and not take one. Let's finish this up. Artists throughout history are at their best when they're not in lockstep. It's what we love about them. Independent creators get busy and don't be compromised once you climb to the top. Artists at the top, take your leashes off. Gina Carano just coming out double fisting like the MMA champion that she is. Yeah, I love just about everything she said here. I mean, she's not wrong. I feel bad because she's clearly, I think she thought maybe when this first happened and she went in the Daily Wire, gave her a couple movie contracts, that she'd be okay and she'd find a way to create this parallel opportunity and a parallel economy for herself. And I don't think it quite worked out like that. And she's angry, and I don't blame her, because going back to 2021 or 2020 when this happened, she'd done nothing wrong. She didn't say anything that was wrong. In fact, what happened to her just proved her point on that Instagram post that got her in all that trouble. So I probably should have had that prepared to bring up, but you know what? I'm going to pause this and I'm going to go get it. There we go. I went and got it. So this is the post that got her in all her trouble. She said Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? Still see nothing wrong with that, and she was spot on as usual. So, would love to know what you guys think. What do you think of Gina Carano? What do you think of the truth bomb she's launching? And did you see joining the panderverse? Because I thought that was great stuff in there. That's it for me. Happy I'm back. Happy you're back. Thank you for all your subscriptions. Thank you for watching the videos. Thank you for hanging with us, even during the downtime. That's it for me. I'll see you guys on the next video. You all be good. Take care.
Woo! Superhero landing!
Thanks for watching GeekTime TV. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe, make sure to check the little bell icon anytime someone from our network drops new content here. Want some GeekTime swag? Check out the merchandise available in the GeekTime TV store, linked in the channel description below. Share GeekTime TV with friends, and as always, thank you for your support. We'll see you soon.